Welcome into another episode of the Triple Coverage Podcast. I am Lance Nelson. To my left, Scott Casson. To my right, Benjamin Shoop. The Buffalo Bills absolutely steamrolled the New York Jets this past weekend, yesterday in fact. We're not even really through week 2 completely as we have 2 games tonight, but the Bills showed up and showed out in the Meadowlands. We're going to get into that and then preview the quick turnaround to Miami here on Thursday Night Football. Sup, Shoop?
Nothing much. Yeah, it was a fun game to watch until really the fourth quarter, where it was just you knew they were going to run the clock out. But you'll enjoy those games instead of the games like week 1 where you're having a heart attack every 2 minutes. So, yeah, it was a great game. I was at the stadium. If anybody else was there watching the game, it was just cool experience being able to watch it there. But yeah, it was a good game. Hopefully they can do the same this Thursday to the Miami Dolphins.
Scott, how you feeling after week 2, brother?
Better about the defense. Defense bounced back, which was good to see. You said not having a heart attack. What about when Josh Allen ran off the field and was bleeding profusely from holes on his face? Him getting up and running off the field kind of like mediated the heart attack. He didn't stay down and milk it like some other guys, LeBron. But yeah, a win is a win. A little sloppy, but when you're winning by that much, that tends to happen. And always big to win divisional games. So 2-0, 2-0 with 1 to go. That's what our college coach used to say.
Yeah, I prefer the Bills not flash in week 2 or peak in week 2 and be perfect on it in every sense of the way. So there's good that there's still some things to work on. And that's the way you build towards the end goal. And I think they're doing just fine in that realm. Another quick reaction to the game on Sunday was just the effect of James Cook kind of showed even more, I think, yesterday than week 1 for sure. I think he really excelled yesterday. He really went out there and put his best foot forward. And I think hopefully shows a lot of people why he was paid the money he was paid, even if he doesn't play every snap. He's certainly worth what he does. What do you guys think of that?
James Cook is good. Put it right in the outline.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know that a lot of people this weekend were talking about. Yeah, I know a lot of people were talking about, how people were saying that, yeah, Ray Davis could have easily done what James Cook did, and I think James Cook's proving a lot of people wrong. I mean, I definitely was one of those people that thought that I didn't think Ray Davis could do what James Cook did. I just didn't think the offense would lose a step without James Cook. I am being kind of proven wrong there that James Cook
what
is
an idiot.
Very important to this offense, but yeah, it's great to have him out there. He's unbelievable, showing that he still can kind of lead this offense when maybe the passing game started off maybe a little rough. O-line maybe was a little bit rough in the first quarter or so, but that especially that long touchdown run, man, that was something. And even on this first one, just again showing the ability to stay up and that balance, that contact balance that you look for with running backs, the ability to just stay up and fight for that extra yard or two to get in the end zone. So continues to prove people wrong about what they were saying. And I will gladly be wrong that James Cook maybe wasn't as important as maybe even I had thought. So yeah, glad I'm wrong on that.
And one thing I do want to add, yesterday's game, he sat out the entire fourth quarter, so the stats are a little bit skewed. So it's probably a little bit higher, but he's played a slightly uptick in in snaps from what he'd been in previous years. Was 56% last week, which is honestly probably higher than it would have been last year in a game where the Bills are passing the ball for the majority of the second half because they're losing. In most passing situations last year, that was Ty Johnson. We saw a lot more James Cook last week. 46% this week, which isn't a lot, but remember, he sat out a quarter of the game. So it's probably closer to, 58, 60%. So maybe they are going to use him a little bit more. He's developing as a blocker, which he's going to have to be out in those passing situations. And he's made a couple plays through the air. So people saying, you're paying a running back a lot of money to play 50% of the snaps. Well, maybe that's going to uptick a little bit. But On the other hand, that is what makes him so great, that he's always fresh, and they rotate the backs so well. But like what we've seen so far from him, and for the not paying a running back camp, which to be honest, I am generally in, unless it's like a generational talent. He's showing that maybe he is one of those, and he is worth it.
Dude, when he lowered his head too, he ran through the middle there.
Yeah.
Was it third quarter even, or maybe a second quarter? But it's just like, man, he is just
a physical runner too.
Absolutely. He's showing all different facets of a game that you'd love to see from a every down back. And now he's not going to be an every down back per se in the general or the old school kind of sense where he's that bell cow, but he's definitely an every down back in the drives they decide to play him. And what's really a luxury for the Bills is that James Cook doesn't have to play 70-80% of the time because they get the leads and they are able to keep him fresh. So it's actually just a philosophy. The Bills do this all the time with different rotations, and running backs no different. So it's not really on James Cook all the time that he doesn't play the high percentage. It's just, why wasn't he in the last drive of the season last year? That's the sort of thing. It's like, all right, if he's your best player all day long, you'd like to see him in that situation. So that's one thing that you kind of would like to see, but overall, I think he's coming out and had a strong first two games start to the season. And I actually had him to score 2 touchdowns, and I cashed it and did something else with that, and I kicked myself in the butt afterwards. So.
That's always how it goes.
Every time.
Yeah.
So, all right. Quick look around the league here. Scott, take us around a couple things.
Yeah, so obviously it's only week 2. Like an eighth of the league hasn't even finished all of their games yet. But the AFC is shaping up pretty well for the Bills thus far. The Chiefs being 0-2, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I don't think we can count them out yet until they don't make the playoffs or they lose early in the playoffs. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs to me. But them getting the Bills getting a 2-game head start on the Chiefs is huge. The Ravens at 1-1, obviously we kind of have a 2-game advantage on them because we have the tiebreaker with them, and then. Are the Colts good? Daniel Jones is showing, maybe it was the Giants after all. That was the reason he wasn't good. And then Joe Burrow out for at least 3 months with a turf toe injury. Sounds like a wimpy injury, but from someone who's had it, not as serious as him, it's not. It's very serious. It sounds wimpy, but it's serious, Ben. It's serious. Surgery could be out for the season. Jake Browning seems like he's the guy there. So, of all of the, the kind of the 3-headed monster, in addition to the Bills and the AFC, all of them seem to maybe have some chinks in the armor. So, Ben, take it wherever you want to take it for some around the league talk.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's still early, so a lot of teams will figure things out. I mean, I always allude to the point of, the first month of the season for the Patriots for the last 8 years of Brady being there was the sky was falling. They're finally done. And then they would just figure it out. So it is a lot of time to still figure stuff out. It's good that the Bills aren't one of those teams because, you can actually build on what you've been doing so far. So instead of trying to figure things out, they're building on their success. So, when it comes to the AFC, it's looking good right now. Obviously you still have to win games because you drop one and Ravens win, and boom, you're right back there. And the Ravens now are going head to head with you until there. And good thing, obviously, you have the head to head there, but a lot can change quick. You got to still take care of business, especially these next few weeks when you kind of have teams that on paper you should be beating. So, yeah, it's good to see that. Obviously, Joe Burrow, that one as a football fan, excuse me, as a football fan, it kind of sucks to see happen just because you want to see the best players. For the Bills, it kind of benefits them, standing wise. You don't have as good of a quarterback. I believe they're 6-8 without Joe Burrow whenever he's out with injury, which obviously we have seen quite a bit in his career. But yeah, it's a lot's going on so far. The Colts being good is something that is still not solidified, but they definitely are looking better than I think a lot of people had thought. And definitely some shocks right now. And last night or yesterday with KC losing, that's definitely big as well. Because they'll get their receivers back, they'll get their guys back, and they could figure it out before playoffs, and then end up being a team that let's say if they squeak in as the 7, the Bills, if they do end up getting the 1, that could be the first playoff game for the Bills. Is end up being that if that ends up being something that happens. I know some people were talking about that today on Twitter, but yeah, lot going on with the AFC. A lot more to figure out as time will go on. Teams will not be playing as well the next few weeks as maybe they did the first 2 weeks. Teams that weren't playing as well the first 2 weeks will start playing better. A lot will change, so still early.
Yeah, I think the Colts being good isn't necessarily a big surprise. I think it was a little bit of a surprise the way they won yesterday, and they got a little bit lucky with Denver making some mistakes. So, but they still
mismanagement.
They still they have sort of that formula where they have really good running back and they can do some things off of that to be successful in a lot of games. And they're not going to obviously win every one of them, but they're going to be good enough to be dangerous in most games, I think, with that team, that roster they have. Otherwise, it's good to see the Chiefs 0-2. I hope they don't win a game all year, but I know that's wishful thinking. And, we'll just sit back and smile at that fact for now. But I don't put a lot of stock into it. It certainly sets the Bills up towards having a pretty good run at the 1 seed at this point in time, and we'll see where that goes as the season gets later. I think you talk about a potential 6-0, 5-1 start going into their bye week in week 7, and we'll see where everything else is shaping up at that point, have a better idea of where the battles are going to go down the stretch for the Bills. And, obviously the Burrow injury is a huge blow for another contender for that number 1 seed in the Bengals. So they're likely not going to be able to have the same success they would have had Joe Burrow been their quarterback. Scott, start us off here. Who impressed you and who disappointed you this past week in the Jets-Bills game?
I was impressed by Elijah Moore. Well, Elijah Moore revenge game against the team that drafted him, the New York Jets, except this time he was back with a much better quarterback than anybody he had in his 2 years there. But I thought he played really well. He's playing that kind of wide receiver 4 or 5 role, kind of the role that Curtis Samuel played last year, that Isaiah McKenzie played before that. And I think he's the best of the bunch at it. He took an end around in for a touchdown, got an end around for a first down earlier in the game. And he had a huge catch. I think it was on a 3rd down for 25, 30 yards, where he was able to get open on a good route and then made the play. So he's not going to be a 1,000-yard guy by any means, but for a wide receiver 4 or 5, they don't come much better than Elijah Moore. He's someone who his skill set is something that this receiver room was missing in years past, kind of the shiftiness and the ability to make a guy miss in a phone booth or get open with, off the line. That's something that hopefully his role continues to grow as season goes on, because I think he's a damn good football player. I was disappointed by David Edwards, Bills guard. If you believe in PFF, which, kind of take it with a grain of salt, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but he was ranked as one of the Bills' poorest offensive players. And just from watching the game, like every time there was like a run that got stopped or there was pressure up the middle, it was always David Edwards. And then he had his hands full with Quinnen Williams. I will give him that. The guy's probably a top 5 D tackle, top 5, top 10 D tackle in the league. But he's going to have to go against Chris Jones in the playoffs. He's going to have to go against, the other top guys. So to see him struggle early on isn't ideal. I think he'll figure it out because he showed he could last year. But want to see more from David Edwards going forward.
Yeah. For me, my impressed is going to be Zion Logue, a guy who was called up this past week. Obviously, Ed's out. He's a guy that I hope these next few weeks can get more playing time with Ed out, with the suspension still there. I know, he's been on the practice squad for a few years. He's been in the organization, but he made some plays on Sunday. He, I believe, had a batted down pass. I think he had a couple tackle for losses. He was getting after it, right? He's a guy that, when you like to see guys step up when needed. And I know some people thought maybe Jordan Phillips would have gotten a call up, but they went with Zion Logue, and I think that was the right call. So I hope he's somebody that this Thursday can get the call up again. Ed's still going to be out, so hopefully he can really kind of get into the rotation a little bit, especially because I know Daquan Jones played well this Sunday, but he had a really brutal Sunday against the Ravens in the opener. So we'll see, obviously, with a guy like him, if he can keep it consistent. And if Zion Logue ends up being consistent with it, or at least stringing some games where he kind of shows flashes, I hope that he can get more opportunities. For my disappointed, I do actually have two. One's kind of alluding to Scott's as well. The O-line in general in the first half, and you kind of saw them struggling. Scott also alluded to the fact that they do have a pretty good defensive line. It's not, a defensive line to really just look over. So they figured it out eventually, but outside the long runs in the first half, they were kind of struggling to get that push, especially even against the pass rush. It just felt like they were getting pushed back a little bit. So, that's just something that hopefully won't be a trend to start games, that the O-line can get out and fire out right away. And then the only other one, I know Justin Fields was 3 for 11. But there were probably 4 or 5 passes that wide open guys that were just blatantly dropped by Jet receivers
or terrible throws.
Or terrible throws. So that's the one thing I will say. My other one is kind of the DBs getting maybe a little bit lucky. Garrett Wilson was missed on a wide open, I believe, 15-yarder.
Gotta be good to be lucky and lucky to be good.
Yeah. So it happens, and that's
not all night to get lucky.
It was said in the beginning of the show that they still will have things to work on. That will definitely be something that comes up in the film room, is when you look at those wide open guys that just drop passes or bad throws. Not every team is going to be missing those throws. So, you're gonna have to clean those up. Still, obviously, had Trey Young coming back, first game of the year. Used to had Cam Lewis in there filling in for Teron Johnson.
You got Trey Young now?
Did I say Trey Young? Is that what I just said?
Ooh,
sorry, Trey White. Trey. Either way, Trey. Sorry,
Ice
Trey
Trey
White.
out
I don't know
there.
how I'm thinking Trey Young. Probably the same size, actually, but Trey White. His first game back. You guys. It's early in the season, so guys are still getting into it. But you'd like to see that cleaned up in the next few weeks with just that many guys getting wide open. Just because, there were some bad balls and some very poor coverages there by the Bills secondary that were just leaving guys wide open. But it's better, sometimes it's good to get lucky. So those are my two disappointed.
I'd say it's always good to get lucky. I don't see a situation where it's not good to get lucky, but that's just my philosophy on life. So
the draft lottery.
Yeah.
Like for wars.
Oh.
You don't want to get picked there. You don't want to get lucky.
But wouldn't it be more lucky if you didn't get picked, right? So,
true. Depends how you
open
look at
interpretation. Yeah. But anyways, Trey White impressed me coming back off the injuries and stuff like that. I think that he's, come in week 2 and he may have gotten lucky a few times himself or whatnot, but he definitely was in the right place at the right time and more often than not, and got himself a couple nice plays there. And then I didn't really love what I saw from Ty Johnson. He didn't get used a ton, but I just, he kind of didn't get the explosives, and Knox kind of dropped a couple passes there that you'd love to see him have, but that's really just sort of small nitpicky stuff. I think it's, Scott made me pick something that I was disappointed in, so that's what I picked. I really wasn't disappointed in too much, but I think that, there is a fair bit to say that, Knox needs to catch the ball. Making that much money, you got to catch the ball. He's not going to be an every play type of receiver option, but he is still part of the offense and needs to be reliable in that game. So,
I was one thing to think about what you said about Trey White. I was kind of surprised that until it was garbage time and they emptied the bench, Trey White played every snap. Like, we didn't see any rotation.
Probably needed to get his legs, right?
Yeah, we didn't see any Dorian Strong. You thought maybe they'd rotate him, get Trey, but no, he played every snap, which I thought was really encouraging.
Yeah,
for sure. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button. We are sponsored by Monster Energy Drink, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. Got my Monster going here so I can watch both games tonight. And 716 Barbershop over here in Depew, New York. Go ahead and check out the QR code here. 716 Book on the Cut app with that QR code there. And we'll post the links on social media as well, so you can book with Dennis or Matt. We appreciate their partnership. And then also Buffalogo makes this shirt over my head here and some other cool merch, Let James Cook and that sort of thing. Head over to the builtinbuffalostore.com and check out the new merch. We just posted a few different designs, and I think they're pretty neat. So this Wyoming colored Buffalo shirt with the Built in Buffalo logo on it, pretty nice swag to have. We'll have that over at the tailgate again on Thursday. Shout out to the Big Tree Inn If you can get over there for some wings, Thursday night are their wing nights, so this Thursday we'll be over there for the game, but normal Thursday nights you should always be there as well, getting some wings. So thank you to those guys for having us every week. Josh Allen broke his nose on a weird play, ran off the field. Everyone was sort of wondering what the heck was going on, and then Mitch Trubisky comes in and absolutely throws a dime to Josh Palmer. What do you guys think about both of those things, however you want to take it?
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, I just have something quick that I guess it was something that, yeah, like you said, it was kind of quick. You didn't know what happened. He just ran off, sat down, and he looked very upset. But I just want to say, yeah, for Mitch Trubisky, that's what you want in a backup where it's such a quick thing like that. He's ready to go. He gets out there, gets the play call. It's a big third down. He makes a phenomenal throw as well. So it's just that really is something that, I was talking about it after it happened of, when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, you don't necessarily need the greatest backup quarterback in the league, but you need a quarterback that is ready to go, professional, able to make some plays if you need him to. So that, I just want to say, yeah, Mitch Trubisky, phenomenal job there, and just able
Sounds
to come
like
in.
My guy Scott.
That was a big third down too. So that was a big third down throw. And yeah, just something went right in, quick, ready to go, and without a hesitation.
Yeah, it's definitely scary when Josh got up and ran off the field. It was weird. Like I thought at first maybe with the way he fell, he got like turf pellets in his eyes and he couldn't see because like it wasn't like he had like a body injury. Like he wouldn't get up and run off for that. And then you just saw him leaking like as soon as he got to the sideline. Like, oh, he got punched in the face. And then he broke his nose. They set it. They put him back in. So yeah, he's a warrior. Like hats off to him for staying in. I wonder if he's going to wear a visor for the next few weeks. Kind of hope not, because no quarterback wearing a visor has ever won a Super Bowl. So I don't necessarily want him to do that, superstitious and all. But yeah, shout out Mitch Trubisky coming off the bench, cold, and it wasn't even like he had a normal injury timeout to like take a couple throws. Like, all right, I'm going in. He just had the play clock. Like he's probably on the bench listening to them in the headset of what the next play is going to be, and then it's like, oh shoot, like Josh is running off the field, like, oh, I'm in, and then he just had to run in, get the play in quick, then throws a dot to Elijah Moore for a first down. And John brought it up in the comments earlier, but he did have more passing yards than Justin Fields. So, yeah, also that's like why having a vet quarterback is so important. A guy who can just come in, not what.
Was it Josh Palmer or was it Elijah Moore?
Yeah. What did I say?
I think you said more, but I didn't know if it was. I just wanted.
Josh Palmer was the guy who caught the first pass.
Either way,
I definitely meant Josh Palmer if I said Elijah Moore. But yeah, also like that's having a vet backup who can just come in and do that on the fly. It was awesome. It felt like he missed more than 2 snaps, but that was all that it was. So yeah, he'll definitely have a shiner for the next few weeks. Maybe get a couple black eyes, but yeah. Good for Mitch Trubisky. Happy to see him have some success. He's off limits. The Bengals come call.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're looking at who are they looking at? Jameis. Is it?
I hope so. That would be.
Jameis Winston and Jamar Chase would break every single record in the book. Every record.
Yeah, he might have a 50-50 season instead of 30-30.
And Jamar Chase would have 40 touchdowns.
I'm here to watch that. Speaking of defense. That's sarcasm. The defense did have a nice bounce back. I think we touched a little bit on it, but Scott, go ahead and if you want to detail any more about how the defense did have some success there. I saw Cole Bishop sort of get through and get a nice play there. What else did you see from the defense, and what do you like going forward?
I think the biggest thing we saw is that they weren't playing the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry. That was helpful, number one. But the D-line played a lot better. They weren't really getting a whole lot of pressure on Lamar, and some of that is keep him in the pockets. Some of that is they were getting the ball out really quickly, and against the Ravens, you're a little slower unless it's an obvious passing down, getting out of your stance on the D-line because you've got to kind of see what they're going to do. Are they going to run it? If you can't just pin your ears back and go. Offense did an awesome job of giving them a head start, and then Joey Bosa forces that fumble, and it's a 2-score game kind of before all the Jets fans even come in from the tailgate, so that helped the D-line. But the D-line played a lot better. They got pressure. That's what we were worried about with no Ed Oliver, with Joey Bosa. He played well in spurts in week 1, but you could definitely see his age. He had some rust, but he played awesome. We're going to talk about him later. The D-line I thought was really good, and the safeties held things down. Like, neither one of them did anything amazing. Cole Bishop did have a sack, but nobody blocked him, so that's always helpful. But there wasn't any moments like there was in week 1 where it's like, where the hell were you, or what were you looking at, or, this coverage was totally blown. So hopefully this game works as a little confidence booster for them, and then keep it rolling from here.
Yeah, like Ben mentioned, Zion Logue got in there, got a sack, so really good to see him. The defense as a whole, 21 total pressures, 5 sacks, 2 hits, 14 hurries, and very successful day. They seem to be in the backfield quite often during this game. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I also just like the run game as well. I mean, the ability to stop the run. I mean, I know the Jets' offensive line isn't the best in the league, especially also because they had some injuries when it comes to their offensive line. But, from what you saw in week 1 with Derrick Henry of not, every time he got the ball, I think Bills fans were closing their eyes because they thought they knew something bad was going to happen, besides on the fumble. Shout out at Oliver again. But, yeah, I mean, Breece Hall, 10 carries, 29 yards. Braylon Allen did have 2 for 11, but even on the end around for Benford on a blitz to not just go right for the quarterback, read the play and be able to get a 10-yard loss there. That was a huge play as well. And then, even Justin Fields, he had 49 yards on 5 rushes, but one big run, really, wasn't, even when he did tuck it and run, besides the one where he scrambled, he didn't really get much there. Tyrod Taylor, that was garbage time. Shout out, we got to see Tyrod a little bit. But, the run defense was also making plays, and they shut Breece Hall down. They said, you're not going to beat us. We're going to force Justin Fields to beat us with his arm. And that was a pretty good game plan because obviously we saw what happened where, 27 total passing yards is, I believe, what was his QBR, which I'm not a huge fan of the QBR stat, but I believe it was like, a 1.1 passer or QBR, which is, I believe, one of the worst ever when it comes to
I think it was the worst ever.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Since QBR has been a stat. But here to tell you something about QBR. Josh Allen had a higher QBR this week than last week. So.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I want to say about the Jets,
1.1.
Their game plan was kind of confusing to me. You would think the Bills being light up the middle with Noah Oliver. You saw what Derrick Henry did to them last week, and they came out with more of an east-west run scheme. That's where the Bills, I think, thrive. They have really good run stopping at the ends. Milano and Terrell Bernard flow really
Milano
well.
excelled, yeah.
Yeah, I was confused why they didn't just try to run it down our throats. I know that's not as much their style, but you got to play to your opponent sometimes. So I thought the Jets didn't do themselves any favors with the game plan.
I'm confused by your tactics. All right. Back with the 7-1 slicker of the week again this week. So I finally got my graphic going here. We're going to be posting this right after the show, and we'll be getting it going each and every week. Joey Bosa is the Week 2 7-1 Slicker of the Week, presented by 71 Slicks Barbershop in Depew, New York. Book with thecut.com or the Cut app. Joey Bosa had 2 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, a 95.8 PFF grade, 2 forced fumbles, a sack, and 6 QB pressures. We talked a little bit about him earlier, but this performance really was just in the backfield all game long, it seemed, and just in the right place, the right time. Did make it easier that he didn't have to worry about a read option between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson for sure, but he showed up, and it's a lot of excitement for Joey Bosa moving forward after this performance. We didn't talk a ton about him yet, so guys, what do you make of Joey Bosa's performance? Does it change anything for you, or is this sort of what you expected, and as long as he's healthy, you hope this stays consistent?
Yeah, early favorite right now is maybe the best free agent signing in the NFL. You're looking around the league, and unless I'm missing somebody obvious, Scott kind of gave that look. Am I missing somebody obvious that might be above him?
D-Hop looks pretty good.
D-Hop does look pretty good. So, yeah, he's up there at least in the conversation of, favorite in the league. Definitely right now the favorite for the Bills free agent signing. I know Josh Palmer has also looked pretty good, but just the ability to make plays and get in the backfield and show, hey, when I'm on the field, I'm still Joey Bosa. So yeah, he looks phenomenal, and hopefully he can keep that up, stay healthy, and prove everybody that called him washed wrong, and have a phenomenal whole season.
Yeah, this is Joey Bosa. Like, when he's healthy, this is who he is. I don't think I'm surprised by anything. Like, he just hasn't been healthy. So hopefully he stays healthy, because when he is healthy, this is who he is week in, week out. Like, it's not like, oh, he found something in Buffalo, like when Shaq went to the Suns when he was 70 years old and had an all-star season. Like, he's still a good football player. He's just not on the field. So as long as he's out there, this is what I expect.
Absolutely. I agree. And it's nice to see early. Hopefully it's early and often, and it can keep going. I know there's sort of a maybe a shyness around the fan base because of, we saw this with Von Miller coming up and having a great first 8 weeks and then goes out and doesn't make it through the whole season. So the hope is obviously for Joey Bosa to kind of buck that trend of injuries and hopefully make it through and really be able to be this Joey Bosa in January and February. So if he is able to be Joey Bosa in January, I would expect the Bills to make it to February for sure. That's a big part of their game, is going to have this sort of monster game wrecker. And I think having Bosa throughout the playoffs would be a huge, huge momentum boost and advantage for them in the playoffs for sure. All right, I think we're going to tie that bow on the Jets game and move forward now, looking ahead to Miami and the injury report here. We have Jordan Hancock, full practice today, which is nice. Tron Johnson limited, Cam Lewis with a shoulder limited, Matt Milano being said to have a pectoral, although someone that I spoke to today mentioned could be more in the bicep range area, but we'll see how that all works out. And Ed Oliver,
he does have a lot of
ankle.
bicep to injure.
That's true. I hope that his bicep doesn't go all the way into his chest, though. That'd be strange. But Shaq Thompson with a hamstring and hand limited. So anything? Hey, Jordan Hancock full practice. Maybe we get to see him active in week 3. What do you guys think? It's kind of a fresh body to bring in as the Bills have, a quick turnaround here. So anything you guys make of the injury report?
I don't think Hancock sat yesterday because of the injury. I think he just wasn't active because he was inactive. Like, McDermott said he was good to go. So maybe we will get to see him if Cam Lewis can't. On these Thursday night games, you kind of lean towards they won't go. So if Cam Lewis can't and Taryn also can't, I think we're seeing a hell of a lot of Jordan Hancock in the slot. So Taryn, I think maybe has a shot. He did a workout on the field yesterday before the game, looked pretty good. So you're wondering if maybe it was like hey, if you play Sunday, you're probably not going to play Thursday, but maybe we can sneak through this week and you can play Thursday. Milano, I think, no shot. Oliver, obviously, no shot. And then Shaq Thompson, I don't know, but didn't really seem to matter that much. That they called up Keontae, and he played fine on special teams. So yeah, hopefully Taryn can go. All of the others, I think, probably not.
Yeah, pretty much agree with Scott there. I think maybe Tron, but yeah, Milano, play it safe. Ed, play it safe. It's early in the season. Obviously, Ed, we already know is going to be out, but if
I just don't think he can go.
Yeah, even if it is a question.
He had a pec injury like this in 2020 and missed 2 games. So
didn't he also have a bicep injury?
See him for the Pats
a year or two ago?
He hurt his bicep in training camp.
All the upper body soft tissues you can have. Yeah.
So yeah, Milano, you got to play it safe with him. You don't need him in a week 3 Thursday night football game against the Dolphins. I mean, that's the good part, right? Is that it's at least looking right now like you should be able to pull this out even without those guys that we just mentioned. I'm gonna knock on wood on that one because last thing we need is to lose to the Dolphins.
Yeah, but I agree with that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I was telling my wife this earlier. It's like the Bills really are the better team. They were the better team last week. They're the better team this week. And it's like, these are not major injuries. Yes, we would like to have all of our players every game, and it's just not going to be the case in the NFL. You're never going to have your full roster of guys, but they've got enough. they've got Josh Allen. That's always going to be a key, right? So like it's just the Bills are going to be the better team on Thursday. They're going to be the better team next Sunday, and they're going to be the better team the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after, the Monday after that. It's so like, yeah, these injuries.
Then they have a bye.
Then they have the bye, and they're still going to be the better team than anybody else playing that week. So like, I agree that the injuries do matter, and if there are more substantial and there's more quantity of injuries, that it's going to get tough. But I just think like, for what we have on the injury report right now, a lot of people panicked going into the Jets game, and I don't understand it necessarily, because this team is so good. They have the scheme that allows you to plug and play a lot of guys. And yes, there's going to be times where they get beat, but they didn't get beat a whole lot on Sunday yesterday. So
yeah, and I'm seeing Curtis Samuel mentioned a little bit in the comments. I mean, his is not injury.
He's wide receiver 6. Like,
yeah, and it's, when you're going him versus Shavers brings the special teams aspect. He brings an ability to block better.
brings the
and
noise.
He could be a better receiver too. Like we obviously haven't seen him too much in live NFL action. Well, we don't know for sure. Obviously, Samuel has more production and stats to back up that he is, but it's just a healthy scratch, and they like Elijah Moore better. They like Shavers better to be active on game day. That's pretty much as simple as it gets for Curtis Samuel, and it doesn't, obviously you want to see a guy that you're paying that much on the football field, but a few guys that are playing better, you got to play those guys. You can't just say, oh, well, we're paying him more, so he's got to be on the football field. And who knows, if somebody
there
goes
are
down,
teams who operate like that, and they're not the successful ones.
Yes, yeah, and maybe if an injury happens with the receiving core down the road, then yeah, he'll have to step up, and he could be a guy that says, hey, you shouldn't have scratched me. But as of right now, he hasn't really given a reason to play any of those guys that are in the receivers room right now. So
I think whether he steps up or not, he'll still be a guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd have to have like a terrific few weeks if somebody gets injured and he has to step up. He'd have to have a terrific few weeks, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously, what happens with him going forward.
Right on. Let's jump right into the Dolphins preview. Again, Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, 71 Slicks Barbershop in Depew, New York. Book on the Cut app or thecut.com with Dennis or Matt. Thoughts on Thursday Night Football? Scott, take us through this Dolphins preview here.
I hate Thursday Night Football. I think it's stupid. I think it's how guys get hurt. The NFL cares about player safety, and they fly them around the country and make them play, or fly them around the world and make them play on Thursday. But the Bills have 2 of those games this year, so we gotta be okay with it. But I don't like it. I think it's a diminished product. I think it's a weaker product because guys don't have time to recover. Game plans aren't as good, but whatever. They want to pay a lot of money to Amazon, and now we get to listen to Kirk Herbstreit 3 nights a week. The Dolphins don't seem to be a great team, but part of me thinks that offense that scored 70 against the Broncos is still in there because it is all the same guys, but McDaniel seems to have lost the locker room. Tua, I think the injuries are catching up to him. Tyreek doesn't want to be there. Jalen Waddle is still good. They can't really run the ball. Part of that could be because they haven't been, because they've been in kind of blowouts or high-scoring games. So in theory, it should be an easy win for the Bills, but those seem to be the biggest trap games. Coming off a big divisional win on a Thursday night at home, 14-point favorites, divisional game should be fine, but divisional games always make me nervous, especially when they're on Thursday nights.
Yeah. I was talking earlier, obviously, about, they should be a cakewalk for the Bills, but it's a divisional game. It's a short week. Who knows what can happen? Anything can happen. I mean, the Dolphins, this might be their desperation game to get something going. McDaniels, this might be
jobs.
Yeah, this might save Greer. This might, McDaniel might, whatever it is. It's just these guys are going to give it their best foot forward. Tua is obviously also another guy where he's played very poorly the first 2 weeks, and it's got to be a game where if he doesn't show up, then now the questions are really going to start building up. It's just 3 straight games to start the year. It's not like he doesn't have the talent on the offensive side of the football when it comes to the receivers and running backs. Like, he has the talent there to support him. I mean, O-line maybe definitely could be a lot better, but they're a quick, get the ball out quick, all type of offense. And there's been some throws where, I mean, there's been not just some, there's been a lot of throws that I've seen from people, doing film study on them, and the first 2 weeks of horrible decision making and just horrible throws. So, yeah, I really don't know what Thursday is going to look like. I think it should be one of those games where you can, if you really absolutely want to, you should be able to go to bed by the end of the third quarter, maybe even halftime with how bad it is, and not have to worry about the Bills pulling a Ravens against the Bills and blowing it. So, yeah, it should be another game like Sunday. But like Scott said, it's week by week. It's the NFL. It's any given Sunday. Well, I guess in this case, any given
They get
Thursday.
paid to play too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's you just got to get the job done. Should be a good one. But yeah, the Dolphins right now are looking like they could be in that running for a top pick in the draft. It looks like they could be that bad. So we'll see.
I hope Willie Beeman's there on Thursday. That'd be great. But yeah,
Now he's playing for the Dolphins.
Thursday night football is sort of is what it is in my mind. I kind of agree with what you say, Scott, that the product could be better, but the rest and the recovery isn't there. But I don't mind it. I love more football, so give me more, feed me more, so to speak, and I'll take it. And it gets me a half day on Thursday, so I'm all right with that. I'll take a half day and hang out with my mom all afternoon at the Big Tree Inn. So if you want to come say hi to my mom, she'll be there on Thursday as well. And did we talk about how bad the Dolphins are yet, or is it just the Thursday night football action?
They're bad. I mean, we can talk about them more, but yeah, we kind of did. But yeah, they're bad, and I think it's more so from coaching. Like, I think McDaniel has kind of lost the locker room. I think McDaniel is a really good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a great leader of men, as they say. I don't know if he has the personality for it, but I would love him to be the Bills' offensive coordinator someday down the line. Joe Brady gets a job somewhere, Mike McDaniel comes in. I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think
he might have to go. He might have to go back to vaping on the sidelines with all the stress.
Yeah, their defense is bad. I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Bills' offense. So even if they want to try to hang 70 points on the Bills, I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Bills' offense. And I think their issues kind of do start up front, like Ben mentioned too. On the line of scrimmages, you can have all the skill players you want, but if you can't protect and give them lanes and things like that, you're not going to be very successful. And that's the Dolphins' philosophy right now is they have all the speed that they can have, but not a lot of the other parts they need to be successful in my mind. So, Ben, do you want to talk about how bad the Dolphins are?
Yeah, I want to just bring up their secondary real quick, just because I want to know, Lance, before this year, obviously outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick, if you remember any of these guys, Jack Jones, who I don't know if you remember, was, I believe, in Las Vegas. And
thought he was the GM for the Suns.
Oh, you're thinking of the other Jones.
That was a joke. That's James Jones. That was a joke.
Yeah, James Jones. Ifeatu Melifonwu, although you might know him.
Pride of Syracuse Orange. Yep.
Storm Duck, who is also out.
I like Storm.
Did he play? Did he play
really
on the West Coast?
No, he played at UNC. He went to UNC. He was really good
hurt.
at UNC. He started as a freshman there. He was fun to watch.
Artie Burns is out for the year. Cotter Kohu is on IR. Cam Smith's out. Juju Brents is there, but Juju Brents was a guy who was supposed to be this fast corner, hasn't panned out. Rasul Douglas, and we all know how much he kind of fell off so far. Minkah Fitzpatrick, who, 5 years ago, that would have been a great name, but we also know where he's kind of going in his career. This secondary
is still a great name. It's a cool name.
Yeah, it's still a great name. But this secondary is one of the worst secondaries I've ever read, seen, looked at in my life. Like
Storm Duck, just makes it.
And this reading of the Dolphins depth chart is brought to you by Monster Energy.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
the official
But no,
energy
this
to keep you
defense
awake while Ben reads the roster.
Yeah, this defense is I mean, it is real brutal. And I just don't know what they're gonna do the rest of the year. And to
They're going
touch
to
on what
lose.
Scott
That's what
said
they're going to
about
do.
McDaniels becoming
How'd you read every person on there and not mention Terrell Dodds?
I was reading just the secondary.
Oh,
Not yet.
it
Yeah,
wasn't
I did
secondary.
see it, but yeah, I was gonna go into it, but I'm like, I'll just leave it at this, the secondary alone. But yeah, and then to touch on Scott's point of McDaniels offensive coordinator, if he takes over for Brady, I wouldn't hate it, but I would just be worried that he'll try to change Josh Allen too much into that type of first read, because it's the Kyle Shanahan tree of that your offense is very structured, where Josh Allen isn't.
It's never
I mean,
gonna
he's
be
becoming it, I guess. He is sort of becoming a structured quarterback, but is that type of guy where, you just got to let him loose, and I don't know how much McDaniels would do that. So I'd be back and forth in my opinion of that, but yeah, just wanted to touch on that as well.
Structured
You touched
quarterbacks
on
win
it.
Super Bowls.
I mean,
Touch on the keys to the game for the Bills. Why don't we start on offense, Ben? Tell me what your one biggest key to the game for the Bills offense on Thursday Night Football against Miami Dolphins secondary that you just read off to us.
Yeah, so yeah, I just talked about the secondary being bad. You can't give them freebies. Josh cannot have bad balls. You can't overthrow. You cannot give them the turnovers, and it is only going to happen if you're forcing stuff or if you're overthrowing. So just make sure that you don't get too antsy with it, and Josh don't get too aggressive in a game like this. Obviously, we've seen over the past year or so that he has gotten a lot better when it comes to taking care of the football. Although that's also another thing we did not mention, the Bills' 24th straight game of winning the turnover battle, which is the longest streak in NFL history. So that is another accomplishment there, and that has to do with Josh Allen being able to take care of the football. So this is another game. It's kind of cheesy, but you got to take care of the football, because in games like this, when you're the guy, you're the team, you're the big favorites that are supposed to win, you cannot let them stay in the game with turnovers, because if it gets to the third and fourth quarter and they're hanging around, they might get that hope of, hey, we can do this when nobody else thought we could pull this upset off in Buffalo. So, yeah, I'm just going to say take care of the football.
Scott Casson, offensive key to the game.
Emeka Egbuka just scored a touchdown.
Amazing.
14-10. Bucks. If anybody bet the over,
That's
looking
who had the
good.
first touchdown?
That's 2 touchdowns for
Nico Collins.
Oh, I thought you said 14-10. Yeah, who had the first one for the Bucs?
Miller.
Ryan Miller. Have the great second half.
Is it Scotty Miller? Is he still there?
Nope, it's Ryan Miller.
Yep. Like their great goaltender for the Sabres.
I was at his Hobie Baker winning award ceremony. Fun fact.
Amazing. Anyways, on to football.
Yeah, well, hey, I was talking football. It's not my fault.
Fair,
Ben
fair.
didn't read the
Bills
Bucs depth
football.
chart too. My key to the game for the Bills defense. Are we going offense first or defense first?
Offense, please.
I lost my train of thought.
We'll go offense if you don't mind.
Win the line of scrimmage. Just our offensive line is better than defensive line. They do have a decent pass rush. Chop Robinson, I know he's questionable, but I think he's going to play. He was their first-round pick last year. He's really good out of Penn State. Bradley Chubb, he's a little bit older now, taking a couple picks before Josh Allen, maybe the one that got away for John Elway. But Bradley Chubb is still a solid pass rusher, and they do still have Jalen Phillips. So win the line of scrimmage, control the ends. They're really weak up the middle on the defensive line. So kind of maybe a similar strategy to the Jets. I think we're going to see them run the ball a lot. Maybe a different game plan than going in against the Ravens, but that game plan obviously changed very quickly given the score. So run the ball, control the line of scrimmage. And if you control the line of scrimmage, you're going to win most football games.
Yeah, I'm going to give a selfish key to the game just because I want to see it. And I think Ben mentioned that the secondary is fairly bad. I just want to see them feed guys like Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid this week and just sort of slice and dice. They did the running thing last week. It was awesome and it was effective. And if they do that again, I won't be sad. But I do kind of want to see a little bit of excitement, see if we can get, a couple explosive plays, even in the running game, but break something, give me a 50-plus yard play for a touchdown, and we'll blow the roof off the Highmark Stadium there. I would love that. So I think that if they can get their receivers in space and slice up the Dolphins secondary, that would be a key to winning the game. It's certainly one way to do it. But again, Scott's right. Controlling line of scrimmage is always going to be the key to the game. And if they do that and just want to run the ball down their throats, I will not complain about that either. It certainly seems to be their preference. And I just want to see some excitement. I want to see the ball in the air.
You're just saying that because you have James Cook on your fantasy team that you'd love to see them run the ball. Selfish.
Fair. That's fair. So, defensively, Scott, you want to take the defense first here and tell us the key to stopping Tua other than giving him another concussion?
Oh, hey now. As a man who's had a few concussions, don't wish that on anybody.
I'm not wishing it.
You got to
I'm
throw
saying
off their
it's
timing.
happened.
You got to throw off their timing. The Dolphins' offense is so timing-based. They have really fast guys, so most teams don't press them because they can't keep up. The Bills, they do. They get up and they out-physical them. They press Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage. They press Jalen Waddle at the line of scrimmage. And as we've seen, if you take Tua's timing off a little bit, it isn't there. He's such a first-read quarterback. So you just got to throw off their timing, be more physical than them because we are the more physical football team. And if you can do that, the Dolphins aren't really going to be able to move the ball. If you make Tua have to think, that's when the pass rush gets home, and we have games like we had against them last year in week 2, also on Thursday night.
Yeah, mine's going to kind of, again, be something that you kind of say every week, and it's just don't give up big plays for the defense. Because, again, those big plays are the plays that can keep them in games, and that's all Miami's going to look to do for at least the first half, first 3 quarters, is just hang around. And we've seen plenty of times if somebody can hang around, then, they can make that late fourth quarter push. All it takes is 1 or 2 bounces. I mean, look at week 1 with the Bills, right? They were not really looking that great. The energy just didn't look there, but they hung around. And then late in the fourth, couple bounces, 1 fumble, all of a sudden it's a new ball game, right? So just don't give up big plays. Don't let Tyreek get a deep ball. I know it's been since last year.
Week.
Did he get a 30-plus last week?
So yeah, he had a 47-yard catch that was way underthrown.
Okay, so either way, yeah, just don't let Tyreek get behind you. Don't let Waddle get behind you. Don't let the big plays happen. A-Chain, don't let those screens turn into 30, 40-yard gains, right? He loves to take those short passes and go the distance sometimes. So no big plays.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all going to start up front for the Bills defense. You have to win the game to win the game, and if you lose the game, you lose the game, as Mike McDaniels would say. So I think that you really have to win the game if you're the Bills defense. I think that's really the key for this one. But it all starts up front. I want to see consistency and more progress out of the middle of this defensive line. Pressure up the middle is always going to be the best served way to success for any team, and especially this defense, the way it's built. If they can get penetration and disrupt what's going on in the middle of the field, from the middle of the field, that's definitely going to help their case. All right, going to do a little fantasy player start/sit segment here that I implemented week 1. We failed to really do too much in week 2, but I'm bringing it back here for week 3, and I'm going to try to make sure it's part of our game plan moving forward, unless Scott shuts me down again like he did last week. But I think that my start for this game is Khalil Shakir, because I mentioned I want to see them get some passes. They've kind of had different games where they've featured different guys, and hopefully this will be Khalil Shakir's turn. Purely a guess, and that guy tripped and did not even get open. Okay. Purely a guess that they would feature Shakir in this game. They probably will do what Scott says and run the ball, so you could also start James Cook, but I feel like that's sort of a given, so I'm going with Shakir, and I'm sitting Tua. I don't think Tua is going to have any success on Thursday, so I would not play him if I had him. I wouldn't even draft him to begin with, so hopefully you did not have to have this misfortune of having him on your team.
Yeah, my start is going to actually be kind of a shocking one. I'm going to go Ty Johnson just because I think you could see him get more playing time this week, because I think it could be another game where you don't see maybe James Cook in the fourth quarter. So if you are in a position where I know a lot of people are at this point where you're looking for just a running back and you maybe have an injury or guys just aren't really playing the way you thought they would, and you want to take a long shot, because that's definitely a long shot, but Ty Johnson, I think, could be a guy that they kind of use a little bit more this game. Sit, Jalen Waddle is going to be mine. The Bills usually do a pretty good job at least shutting down the number 2 receiver on a team, and they actually, when it comes to the Dolphins, do a pretty good job of shutting down both. So yeah, I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle. I just think, Tua was Lance's pick for a good reason. I think it's just not going to be the greatest passing game for them. It's really been brutal for Tua the first few weeks, and I know Waddle got in the end zone last year, or last week. But I think this week they'll have another rough game. And Scott, we already know that your start and sit is start betting and sit the fantasy app down and don't actually use it. So there's
no, it'd be more so start real football, sit fantasy football. But I do actually have a start and a sit 'em. Thank you for so rudely assuming. My stardom is the Bills defense. I think they put up some points. I think Tua throws a couple picks. I don't think they give up a lot of points if you have the Bills defense. Stardom. My sit 'em, Tyreek Hill. In the 6 games since he's come to the Dolphins against the Bills, excluding the playoffs, he only averages 58 yards against the Bills. He has 2 touchdowns in those 6 games. And if you take it back farther than that, even with the Chiefs, that number goes down closer to 50 yards per game with the same 2 touchdowns. So the Bills, rather than in the playoffs, they seem to forget what they're doing there, but do a pretty good job of containing him just by throwing off that timing. So I will be betting the under for Tyreek receiving yards. Do that every time the Bills play the Dolphins. I'll have that in my blog, which went 1-2 yesterday. So we didn't lose them all. You only lost a unit. But yes, that also start real football, sit fantasy football. Football is not played at a computer. It's played on a field by men and women, because women's football league got a lot of men and women.
Shout out to Lance and I for getting in the Triple Coverage podcast our first 2 weeks of bet right. So just want to shout that out to me and Lance.
I would also like to say my pick had the least amount of juice. Your guys were minus a lot, and mine was right about even money. So put that in there.
Mine was plus money. Yeah, mine was plus with Kincaid. It was 3.5. It was plus. I remember. I sent it in the group chat.
I thought it was minus something, and Lance took 2.5, or like minus even more.
No, Lance took 2.5.
I did take the 2.5.
I took 3.5 because it was plus. I
think
it was
my
like
bad, Ben. My bad. Hats off to you for not being a juice follower.
No, it's called Dalton Kincaid. Shout out Dalton Kincaid. Do we got one for this week? Do you guys have one ready at all for those? I know they don't really come out yet.
Tyreek under, but yeah, I won't look till closer to game time.
Yeah, we'll post ours. We'll decide and post it later.
Coleman, anytime touchdown will likely be my pick, but you'll see when we officially post it before the game.
Yep, I don't have mine yet. I'm not going to try to speculate any of it. So I'm going to wait till we get that line and go from there. All right, game predictions. We will predict the game at least, even though there's some unknowns here. That's just fun for us to do, and we're not going to have a show on Thursday where you normally see us. If you are catching us tonight and don't normally see us on Monday, check us out on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock as well, right before Thursday Night Football. We'll get you jazzed up for some Bills football. This Thursday, we'll be at the Big Tree Inn with the Monster Energy tent. Slinging Monster Energy has just got 25 cases in the garage ready to go, so we'll have those cold for you, and starting 1 o'clock-ish or so, we'll be set up and ready to rip. So see us over there. Game prediction. Who wants to go first on their game prediction? And those of you on Facebook and YouTube, or you can try on X. I guess I've seen some comments on X, but I haven't really experimented with that too much. Get in on YouTube or Facebook to comment, and subscribe to that YouTube channel if you can. But give us your game predictions, folks, score predictions or otherwise. What do you got, Ben or Scott? Who's going to go first?
Scott's all you.
Bills 31, Dolphins 20. I think the Dolphins cover barely, maybe even the back door, like we saw with Oregon against Northwestern this weekend, or the even worse one, Villanova covering against Penn State on a 4th down, one-handed catch in the back of the end zone on the last play of the game. So I think the Dolphins cover 31-20 Bills, and that would be slightly over. I'm probably going to play the over. Well, I'll probably play the over in this game just because I think the Bills can get out to a big lead early and kind of relax towards the end on defense. So 31-20. The over, and the Dolphins cover.
So I do think the game will start off a little bit slow with the offenses. I think we'll start, 3-3, but I think it will finish 45-3, Bills. So I'm gonna go. No, I predictions at the end of the day, you never know. So I'm just gonna go with the fun one there, 45-3, and if it ends up happening, I got the clip.
There you go. I'm going to go with somewhere in between. I'm going to go 38-17 Bills. I don't think it's going to be very close, and I think the offenses will come out, and the Dolphins will score a couple, probably more so when the Bills have established a lead, but I think it'll, maybe even go back and forth for the first drive or two, and then Bills take over and flex their muscle. So 38-17 is my prediction, and with that, I think that we're all set here on a Monday night edition of the Triple Coverage Podcast. Thank you for everyone who has joined us. We really appreciate it. And shout out to Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, 716 Barbershop. Go check out Buffalo Logo. We got some new merch up there. And with that, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.